Coloradans rejected a ban on new oil and gas drilling within 2,500 feet of buildings and environmentally sensitive areas. That was the vote in November. Democrats at the state capitol pushed ahead with regulations anyway, and what was unveiled today are new rules for drilling within 2,000 feet of schools and 1,500 feet of town and county boundaries. These are temporary guidelines out today from state regulators. They stay in place while the state writes and implements new rules for drilling permits and applications. The increased scrutiny of drilling near schools and municipal boundaries will allow those communities and those local governments more time to weigh in. It could be months before the new rules are written. It has been a brutal 24 hours for Denver mayoral challenger Jamie Giellis in her race against Mayor Michael Hancock. Facing questions about her comments related to African Americans and Latinos and Asians, Giellis deleted her social media accounts last night, both personal and campaign pages. And today, she's refusing to speak with reporters about it. Jamie Giellis' string of stumbles began when she couldn't come up with what NAACP stands for while on Brother Jeff's radio show.
What does it mean?
National African American.
No.
She called that a momentary lapse and released a written statement saying, "This campaign has expanded my knowledge of other cultures." Almost immediately, she announced a tacos and lowriders fundraiser at a Mexican restaurant. She deleted that announcement a few hours later, but not before critics noticed a decade-old tweet in which Giellis, who works in urban planning, questioned why so many cities need to have a Chinatown. Giellis quickly deleted that tweet last night, and then deleted her whole account, and then her personal and campaign Instagram accounts. This morning, Giellis issued a written statement saying she deleted those social media accounts when she felt her comments were taken out of context. Giellis is still holding her Tacos and Lowriders fundraiser tonight. Her campaign says she is not going to talk about her comments or her social media purge. But here's the deal. When next gets off the air, I'm going to go over to the event and I'm going to ask her anyway because I'm bad at following directions. And I'll let you know what she says. Our next question comes from a viewer named Jamie, who asked on Twitter, "Why do so many cities feel it necessary to have a Chinatown?" Jamie, Chinatowns sprung up in American cities in the 1800s because they offered Chinese immigrants hope of safety from racial hostility and housing discrimination. Denver had a Chinatown in what's now Lodo. That is, until a mob destroyed it in 1880, the city's first race riot. It was almost a century later when American attitudes about Chinese cultural enclaves began to shift, and it was decades more before Chinatowns became popular with tourists and developers. Unless you're an urban planner, it's quite possible you never knew the history of persecution and destruction that led to the quite popular Chinatown neighborhoods of today. Colorado's Secretary of State, whose job is to run elections and to deal with businesses, is now getting into the abortion debate. Jenna Griswold is banning her employees from traveling to the state of Alabama because Republicans there just instituted America's most extensive ban on abortion. Griswold's widely thought to be considering a run for the U.S. Senate seat held by Republican Cory Gardner. If former Denver Mayor Ben Stapleton was alive today, he'd probably be mad his name is being stripped off a school. He might also be embarrassed that he was in the Ku Klux Klan. DSST Stapleton is changing its name to DSST Montview. Middle schoolers have been pushing for this name change ever since they found out about the KKK-linked mayor. They surveyed their classmates, 60% of them agreed, and after 2 years of back and forth, it's really happening.
It's a lot of relief. We worked on it for a long time, and we're really glad that our voice was heard, and we're just really happy that it all worked out.
Both the middle and high school will now be known as DSST Montview, effective immediately. We're getting some feedback tonight about the name of another school, one that next viewers think should be renamed for a young hero. A number of you have suggested that the STEM school in Highlands Ranch should be renamed the Kendrick Castillo STEM School, an honor for the 18-year-old who died protecting his classmates from a shooter last week. We took this idea to the executive director of the school, who said that she thinks it's a wonderful idea. Changing the name of the school was not something that had been considered before, but they said it is something that they will look into as they examine ways to honor Kendrick's memory. There's a fire chief who says that his responsibility to the community has changed. He thought he'd be saving people from fires. But now, after 3 school shootings, including the STEM school shooting, he's changing his pledge to the community. Here's Anusha Roy.
So, I had a daughter just graduate from college, and I remember this time of year very vividly about how fun it is, right? And I just kept thinking their parents and how if it was me, I'd want to touch them for the last time and see them and hope that they were okay and they didn't suffer during all those things.
For 20 years, South Metro District Chief Jeff Tasker has been thinking about school shootings as a father.
So I've gone to Columbine. I was instant commander at Arapahoe High School, and then STEM. As I coming over here driving, I was thinking, it's part of our job. Our job has changed now, You join the fire service, think you're going to save people from fires and car wrecks and stuff, and now this being the third one, I think it's what we do now.
He showed up at STEM as kids were still trying to get out.
We have firefighters that have kids in that school. I literally have coached Little League kids that go to that school.
In a situation where it seems impossible to smile, Tasker thought of Joshua Jones, who tackled one of the suspects and says he now wants to become an EMT.
I think it's great. We actually have a firefighter here that was at Columbine, and he specifically wanted to join Littleton Fire because he remembers the firefighters helping him out, and he's currently a firefighter in this fire department now.
And as one of the many people in uniform students have seen at 3 schools now, Tasker offers a pledge in place of the innocents lost.
We're going to keep trying to make it safer, and we're going to keep trying to get to them sooner.
For Next, I'm Anusha Roy.
There's a Republican women's group up in Weld County upset that they can't meet at the Erie Community Center, and this is making the rounds in the online outrage circles today, fueled in part by some posts by elected leaders. Dug into it this morning. Here's what we found. The town of Erie denied an application from the group Women of Weld. That Republican group's organizer admitted to me they were going to gather petition signatures at their event, and that's clearly prohibited as campaigning under the town's rules for their community center. Erie is promising to review its rules for the space to make sure they're on the right side of the law. 6,000 wildfires are expected to flare up in Colorado this season, 100,000 acres all told. Now, most of that will never come to our attention. That's just an average fire season in Colorado. The state's firefighters are predicting the 2019 fire season will be average to slightly below average. A real relief after last year. 5 of the state's largest fires in terms of acreage burned in 2018, including the Spring Fire in Castilla County. Our Steve Steger spoke to a couple still grappling with the impact.
Colorado offers the best of both worlds, the fast-paced city and a place you can hide away.
I had retired and quite frankly was getting really tired of the traffic.
Cheryl and Michael Rohr did the hustle and bustle thing their whole life. They were ready for a bit of seclusion, so they traded in their home in Lakewood for a place in the Forbes Park neighborhood of Castilla County.
The sense of community up here is so different. We knew 3 people on our block where we had lived for 25 years. That was it. Up here, we know far more people.
So much of this experience was new, like the phone call they got in the summer of 2018 telling them fire was in the area and they had to evacuate.
For us, this was a first especially since we had just barely moved down here and been here for a while, and then all of a sudden, evacuate because the the area's on fire.
Several days in, as they heard stories of other families losing their homes, they got word theirs was safe.
Within the second day, the fire was through this area, already past us.
Your first reaction might be to congratulate Cheryl and Mike for keeping their home when others lost theirs.
We lost all of our garage, so we had to do that. We lost, I'd say 60-70% of our trees.
Yet their loss can't be replaced.
We lost a lot of stuff, and it was just stuff, but it was memories from our son, who passed away a year ago.
Just months before the fire, they lost their son unexpectedly.
Personally, I was just getting over that loss, or starting to come to terms with it, and then we were evacuated here.
So while the Rohrs consider it luck that their house didn't burn,
It still makes no sense.
They hope their story serves as a reminder.
People have stories that you don't know about.
Every tragedy comes with loss that may not be so easy to see.
Every time you start losing something, you go back to that first loss. And that's the hard part.
More than half of Colorado's population now lives in the so-called red zone. Those are the places where human development meets the wild world, and in those areas, fires are the greatest risk. Love Colorado's beer history? Thank an immigrant.
The early brewers who brought beer to Colorado were by and large German immigrants.
And step right up, people, if you want to catch a buzz in Denver.
Come on over, folks, if you want to look.
This is the season for professional bee wranglers.
Denver bees. I've never seen so many bees like this.
It still looks like winter way up high. A little bit of light snow over some of the higher peaks. While down here in Denver, in spite of these cloudy skies, temperatures in the 80s again, about 10 degrees above average. And that's the end of that for a little while. There's a powerful storm system that's digging into California that is bringing all of the high and mid-level cloud cover in. The circulation is still well off to the west, but little pieces of energy are going to come in between now and the weekend to kind of change our weather picture. And just to the north along this frontal boundary tomorrow, we might see some strong thunderstorms with large hail and isolated tornadoes. Tonight, the thunderstorms are moving from the southwest to the northeast, a little wind and lightning, then they're out of here. Tomorrow, a better chance of rain from storms in the afternoon, about a 40% chance with a little bit of snow way up high. In Denver for tonight, mostly cloudy, our low at 51. Storms are moving out. It's Friday, 71 with afternoon thunderstorms. Cooler yet for Saturday, similar forecast. Sunday looks to be the drier of the 2 days with a cool weather change for Monday and Tuesday. Mountain snow and rain in Denver on Tuesday with a temperature of only 51 degrees. But I don't know, Annie doesn't seem to mind, Kyle.
Thank you, Kathy. You said it's Friday, and I thought it was Friday for a second, then I realized it's still Thursday, and then I got sad.
One more day.
Yeah, one more day. All right. So I'm not really a beer guy. I hear some of you are into it, and that's cool. You know, if that's your thing, I respect that. Colorado is known for its craft beer, but you know, Coloradans have been crafting beer for centuries.
Beer can help you get to a lot of important stories in Colorado's history. And so we start off in the Gold Rush. We start in a Gold Rush saloon. Ethnic communities would gather at the same saloon. You'd have these ethnic enclaves. You'd have the Slavic saloon or the German saloon or the Italian saloon. The early brewers who brought beer to Colorado were by and large German immigrants. Prohibition arose for a variety of factors. Immigration was a factor in Prohibition because some of these prohibitionists were maybe looking at the saloons that were places where different ethnic communities or cultural communities were gathering. You know, the Ku Klux Klan membership in Colorado surged during the late teens and early 20s. And one of the things they used as a recruiting tool was this idea that they were enforcing law and order, and they were really enforcing Prohibition. They conveniently targeted the immigrant operations that they felt weren't, real American. All the while, we have, records from the Grand Junction Klan of them serving beer at their own meetings. So the hypocrisy runs pretty deep, as you might expect from the Ku Klux Klan. Just looking at the beer industry is a way that you can understand that we are living amid these really big historic shifts. One way you can understand how that shift took place is by looking at the brewing industry over time in Colorado.
It looked like dog food on the ground at first.
Well, I'm glad you guys called.
Yeah. Didn't want nobody else to get stung.
Yeah, no, that's not dog food. It's swarm season in the city. A high school team are city champs. After a 40-year dry spell, this Throwback Thursday, we glimpse the last team to bring home the title. Next. I.M. Pei, the legendary architect who left his mark on Colorado, among other places, has died at the age of 102. Pei designed dozens of iconic buildings around the world, including the Glass Pyramid at the Louvre, but he worked on the NCAR facility in Boulder, and he also designed Denver's 16th Street Mall landscape. We stopped by the mall today and found the place swarmed. Our photojournalist Chris Hansen went in for the close-up.
There is tons of people here. I work for downtown. I keep the city clean. We come up this way and getting ready to clean, and all I seen was bees.
It's up there. See it up there?
Easily 2,000 bees.
2,500?
Easily.
Maybe more.
It's about 3 pounds, about 10,000 bees that are up there.
When I first noticed it, it looked like dog food, the brown little rock dog food. And I went close. I was like, oh, wait, those are bees. I was like, we better call somebody before somebody gets stung.
We're going to go up and save those girls, the swarm. They like to hang off the limb, and they're hanging on each other's legs. That's good. That's good.
Said it's been going for like 24 hours.
I use a box, put them underneath it, shake the branch. If the queen falls into the box, they all follow her.
To see something like this, it's cool.
I think we're good. We're good. Coming down. We'll pass it around. You know, we got a few people here. And come on over, folks, if you want to look. These bees are very, very docile. They fill themselves up with honey before they swarmed. You very seldom ever get stung. Hi, sweeties. You want to look closer? They don't sting me, but they're very, very gentle. So let's see if we can get one to climb. There we go.
Oh, she's so brave.
There you go. She's walking very gently, isn't she? Who wants to hold bees?
Yeah! Let's go! Let's get it!
That's a good look.
Queen's fine. Everybody's flying around. So life is good.
Oh, that's wild, isn't it? So the bees in that swarm were 3 banded Italian honeybees. Ray Story, the beekeeper there, says the queen will leave the hive and half of the bees will go with her, kind of like your ex and half your friends. We're going to throw it back this Thursday with a salute to the last time they were champs, 40 years ago, and a next viewer with a very old connection to a new story we told tonight. Your feedback is next. On this Throwback Thursday, we are heading back to 1979. If you were watching last night, you know that was the last time the Abraham Lincoln High School baseball team was city champs. Dean McVicker shared this photo today of the championship team. He's bottom row, far right. We told you about Lincoln's current undefeated team and what they're up to. Dean, thanks for the look back. Speaking of looks back, Robin Ann writes in and says, thank you for talking about Denver's Chinatown. My 5th great grandfather, his stained glass windows in our state capitol. He was the mayor of Chinatown, Chin Lin Su. So I looked it up, and sure enough, Willie Chin, as he was known, prominent business leader, credited with completing the railroad that we talked about last week, the real first transcontinental railroad. How about that? It all comes full circle. See you next time.